Welcome to the channel AI Historical Reconstruction, where we use advanced technology to visualize the forgotten past with incredible detail. As the pale sun rises over the River Thames, the city of London begins to stir from its uneasy slumber. The day begins not with birdsong, but with the splash of waste thrown directly onto the streets from open windows. 50,000 people are crammed into this square mile, living in timber houses that lean dangerously over the narrow alleys. Merchants and laborers emerge to start their long day, navigating through the thick mud that covers every inch of ground. Our journey takes us first to the famous London Bridge, the only way to cross the river on foot today. It is not just a bridge but a bustling street floating on water, choked with traffic from dawn until dusk. Look up at the southern gate, where the rotting heads of traitors serve as a gruesome warning to all travelers. The citizens walk beneath these grisly trophies without flinching, for death is a constant and visible companion in Tudor London. The bridge is lined with tall buildings, creating a dark tunnel where wealthy merchants sell luxury goods and fine books. Below, the water rushes through the narrow arches with such force that shooting the bridge by boat is incredibly dangerous. Many foolish boatmen have lost their lives trying to navigate these rapids, crushed against the stone pillars by the tide. Traffic jams are frequent here, with carts and livestock blocking the way for hours, causing arguments among the frustrated drivers. Living on the bridge is prestigious but noisy, with the roar of the water and the constant rumble of carts. Leaving the bridge, we look at the Thames itself, which serves as both the main highway and the main sewer. Shockingly, water carriers scoop up this filthy liquid to sell to households for cooking and cleaning throughout the city. There is no modern sewage system here. Everything from human waste to butcher scraps flows directly into the drinking water. Butchers are required to clean their entrails in the river, turning the water red and attracting swarms of disease-carrying flies. The smell is overpowering, a miasma of rot and waste that defines the atmosphere of London in the summer months. We move inland to Cheapside, the commercial heart of the city, where the noise of commerce drowns out everything else. Look above the shops. Signs use images like boots or gloves because most of the population cannot read or write. Here, wealthy merchants display fine silks and velvets, catering to the growing middle class who want to flaunt their wealth. The guilds control everything here, sending inspectors to ensure that no one is selling shoddy goods or using false measures. A baker watches nervously as his bread is weighed. Selling a loaf that is too light is a serious crime. Justice is swift and public. This man has been locked in the pillory for cheating his customers, exposed to shame. Passers-by participate in the punishment by throwing rotten vegetables and mud, ensuring his reputation is ruined forever in this city. Food safety is non-existent. Meat hangs in the open air without refrigeration, gathering flies and dust from the busy street. Street urchins dart between the legs of shoppers, looking for a dropped coin or a moment of distraction to steal. The fishmongers shout the loudest, desperate to sell their catch before it spoils in the heat of the afternoon sun. Clean water is a luxury commodity. People line up to pay for water brought from the fresh springs outside the city. Dominating the skyline is Old Street. Paul's Cathedral, a massive Gothic structure that is much more than just a church. Inside, the central aisle known as Paul's Walk is a chaotic marketplace of gossip, business, and social networking. Lawyers use the pillars of the cathedral as their offices, meeting clients and drafting legal documents amidst the holy statues. Deals are struck and money changes hands right on top of the tombs, blurring the line between the sacred and profane. If you want to know the latest news from the royal court or foreign lands, this is the place to be. Shockingly, people even use the cathedral as a shortcut, leading their horses and mules through the holy building to save time. Just outside lies Paternoster Row, the center of the printing trade, where new ideas are spreading through ink and paper. Suddenly, the great bells toll. In an era without wristwatches, the church bells regulate the rhythm of everyone's daily life. They signal the start of the workday, the time for prayer, the market curfew, and the closing of the city gates. Moving away from the cathedral, we plunge back into the residential streets, which are dark canyons even at midday. Houses are built with jettied upper floors that stick out so far they almost touch the neighbors across the street. This architecture creates a tunnel effect, trapping smells and disease, but the greatest danger here is the building material itself. Inside these wooden boxes, people cook over open fires. A single stray spark can turn a neighborhood into an inferno. Fire is the city's nightmare. With no fire brigade, neighbors must form bucket chains to fight the flames themselves. Large iron hooks hang ready on street corners, used to pull down burning houses to create fire breaks and save the city. The streets are dangerous in other ways too. Pedestrians must flatten themselves against walls to avoid being crushed by carriages. There is no sidewalk. Walking in London means constantly dodging traffic and getting splashed with the filth of the gutter. As afternoon wears on, the taverns fill up. Ale is safer to drink than water, so everyone consumes it daily. Workers gather to eat pottage and dark bread, fueling themselves for the remaining hours of hard labor before sunset. Healthcare is primitive and brutal. Barber surgeons perform tooth extractions and bloodletting right here on the dirty street corners. Back at the river, the tide is going out, revealing the mudlarks searching through the sludge for anything of value. These desperate souls scavenge for lost pins, old ropes, or scraps of coal, surviving on the city's discarded waste. The sun begins its descent, casting long, ominous shadows through the narrow alleyways, signaling a shift in the city's mood. Shopkeepers hurry to board up their stalls. Business must conclude before the protective veil of daylight completely disappears. The curfew bell tolls, warning all honest citizens to return to their homes and lock their doors for the night. The great gates of the city are shut and barred. No one enters or leaves London until the next morning. Darkness falls heavily. There are no streetlights here, and the city plunges into a pitch-black abyss unlike anything modern people know. Only the brave or wealthy venture out now, always accompanied by servants carrying torches to light the treacherous path ahead. Criminals rule the night. Cutpurses and thieves lurk in the shadows, waiting for an unwary victim to stumble by. The night watch patrols the streets, but they are few in number and often powerless against the gangs of the dark. Inside the homes, families huddle together by the dim light of tallow candles, shutting out the dangers of the outside world. The streets now belong to the rats, which scurry boldly through the filth, spreading the invisible threat of plague. Above the filth and fear, the night sky is incredibly clear, filled with stars that are invisible to modern city dwellers. The river flows silently in the darkness, a black ribbon cutting through the sleeping city, hiding its secrets until dawn. A drunkard sleeps in a doorway, risking hypothermia or robbery, a common sight in a city with no social safety net. The silence is broken only by the barking of stray dogs and the distant shout of a watchman calling the hour. From above, the great city is almost invisible, a sleeping giant waiting for the sun to bring the chaos back to life. Thank you for joining this journey through time. Subscribe to AI Historical Reconstruction for more immersive dives into our shared human history. Not everyone sleeps. In the shadows, blacksmiths and bakers toil through the night to prepare for the demands of tomorrow. The bakers are already awake, kneading dough in the dim light so that fresh bread will be ready when the city wakes. A bakery cat prowls silently among the flour sacks, performing its essential duty of protecting the city's food supply from vermin. As the deepest part of the night arrives, the river mist returns, wrapping the wooden houses in a cold, damp blanket. The ships on the Thames bob gently in the tide, their crews sleeping on deck, dreaming of distant lands and open oceans. The distinctive black and white timber buildings look ghostly in the moonlight, standing as silent witnesses to centuries of history. In the distance, the Tower of London stands dark and foreboding, a fortress and prison that strikes fear into every heart. Even at this hour, the yeoman warders patrol the tower walls, guarding the king's prisoners and the secrets of the crown. A solitary monk hurries to early prayers, his footsteps echoing on the cobbles, a reminder of the city's deep religious faith. Inside the monasteries, the chanting of matins begins, a spiritual rhythm that continues regardless of the chaos in the city outside. In the slums, the reality is harsh. A child cries from hunger, a sound that is all too common in these streets. The wind picks up, swinging the heavy wooden shop signs above the streets, creating a ghostly creaking chorus throughout the town. Those without homes huddle together under church porches or market stalls, sharing body heat to survive the damp English night. Clouds obscure the moon, and for a moment, the city disappears completely into the void, vulnerable and blind in the darkness. Yet, in a high window, a scholar works by candlelight, representing the intellectual awakening that will soon transform this medieval world. He documents the times, capturing the essence of an era balanced precariously between the ancient traditions and the modern future. Below him, the rats continue their feast. Sanitation remains the city's greatest failure and the source of its deadliest epidemics. The famous London fog is not yet the smog of the Industrial Revolution, but a thick, natural river mist that swallows everything. The watchman passes again, his rhythmic heavy steps providing the only sense of order in a chaotic and lawless environment. A shadow detaches itself from a doorway and flees. The mere sound of authority is enough to scatter the petty thieves. Behind the church walls, a small herb garden sits in peaceful silence, a rare sanctuary of nature within the urban sprawl. These herbs are precious. In a world without pharmacies, these plants are the only defense people have against pain and sickness. We look back at London Bridge, now a dark silhouette against the sky, its noisy inhabitants finally silent in sleep. The water laps against the wood, a timeless sound that has been heard by Romans, Vikings, and now these Tudor Londoners. The night is long, but the very first hint of blue begins to touch the eastern horizon, promising a new day. Outside the walls, farmers are already moving, bringing fresh produce to the gates, waiting for them to open at dawn. They gather around small fires outside the closed gates, chatting softly, ready to rush to the best market spots inside. Their faces show the hardship of the era, wrinkles etched by sun and worry, yet their resilience is truly remarkable. A link boy extinguishes his torch. His work guiding travelers is done for the night as the city prepares to wake. The first birds begin to sing from the thatched rooftops, a cheerful contrast to the dark and dangerous night that has passed. The sky shifts from black to charcoal gray, the daily cycle of light and dark that governs all human activity here. Smoke begins to curl from chimneys once more as fires are stoked back to life to boil water and cook breakfast. Shutters are thrown open. The air is coolest and freshest right now, before the heat and smells of the day return. The bell ringers take their positions in the towers, ready to wake the 50,000 souls for another day of struggle. With a heavy creak, the city gates swing open, and the lifeblood of commerce floods back into the narrow, winding streets. The market stalls are set up again in the exact same spots, the cycle of buying and selling restarting immediately. Carpenters resume their hammering. London is a city constantly under construction, always growing, changing, and rebuilding itself upon its own ruins. We have witnessed a full cycle of life in Tudor London, a city of stark contrasts, brutal hardships, and vibrant energy. The Thames flows on, indifferent to the lives it supports, carrying the history of this great city out to the sea. It is the people who define this place. Their resilience in the face of disease, fire, and poverty is truly inspiring. Despite the filth and the danger, there is life, laughter, and a community spirit that laid the foundation for the modern world. As we pull away from the streets of 1500, we leave behind a world that is alien yet strangely familiar to us. The wooden structures may be gone, replaced by steel and glass, but the spirit of London was forged in these muddy streets. This has been a production of AI Historical Reconstruction, dedicated to bringing the sights and sounds of the past back to life. If you enjoyed this journey to the year 1500, please like, subscribe, and tell us which era we should visit next.